Welcome back to Dead by Daylight. Or, yeah. Okay, I'm going to, get this out of the way. This isn't the typical, oh, I'm just going to load up and play a couple matches because, hey, it's PTB week. So, yeah, let's start with the good, shall we? I like the new Shelter Woods update. It's really nice. It's a smaller map. There is a fairly strong main area, but that main area also has, a tight 3-gen, whereas the more open dead zoned area has a more spread out set of generators. So it's really up to the killer to decide, okay, do I want the big dead zone but spread apart gens, or do I want the tight gens but in a safer area? And I think that's really cool. Red Forest updates, they look nice, they look pretty. Gameplay wise, it's too early to tell, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Especially because Mother's Dwelling still has God Window for some reason. Okay, let's move on to the survivors. Tholita and Renato Lyra. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. They're alright, I don't particularly have much interest in them personally, but I know people are very excited for them, and I'm glad. As for their perks, Cut Loose is going to be obnoxious on indoor maps and kind of mediocre anywhere else. Well, scratch that. It's going to be obnoxious on really bad tile chains like Azarov or Sufo Pit Center. As for, that's about it for Tholita. Friendly competition is a little annoying. Power of 2 is a weird one, because that's just Blood Pact, but different. Renato, though, oh boy, I have some issues with his perks. Blood Rush and Background Player. His behavior is begging killers to please tunnel. Background Player is literally just, hey, I'm going to unhook you, and then I'm gonna get out. Have fun dealing with the Leatherface who read his chainsaw. That is, that is not exactly what I'd consider to be a good perk. It's strong for the person running it, kinda garbo for the person on the receiving end. And then there's Blood Rush. Blood Rush. So this perk is literally just tunnel the person when they're on death hook before they can heal, or else you'll probably end up having to suffer through 2 sprint bursts in one chase. Why? I understand why, but just, it's poorly designed. Anyways, that's enough about the survivors. I didn't have much chance to play them on PTB. It is what it is. I hope they get killer bots functional soon. Now let's talk about the killer, Skull Merchant. So I want to say I understand why everybody's upset about the visuals, and it took me a day or two to really warm up to it. It's not that it's a bad design, it's just not really centralized. She's got multiple design elements, but they don't really synergize together in any particularly great way. Cosmetics are absolutely going to fix that issue, though. I'm sure that you'll be able to mix and match whatever outfits she gets with her default outfit in order to kind of converge those themes better. For example, I'm sure she'll get a skin that you can pair with her default mask in order to make it more glamorous, more of a glamour killer. And I'm sure you'll get a skin that you can pair more with her default weapon and whatnot in order to create a more industrial nightmare vibe. That said, let's just, yes, the killer's a thirst trap. Let's just get that out of the way. I think it's an okay design, it's just not behavior's best. Now, as for her power, that's gonna need some changing, I'm sorry. So if you don't know, her power is Eyes in the Sky, which you set up some drones and they can detect people. Yeah, that's about it. Sure, if a survivor is in the area long enough, they'll be exposed, but that doesn't do anything to injured survivors. While in the AoE, she's undetectable, so no red stain, I guess, is the chase power, but it takes so long to set up that they can just run away. or they can just try to play it safe because there's no lethality to Skull Merchant's kit. I get that she's supposed to be like a setup tracking intelligence killer, and I think she's really fun in that regard, actually. Like, you got the little radar you can check, you got the drones keeping an eye out for you, and she just doesn't have anything else, though. She has no mobility to get to where people are that she detects, and she has no lethality to actually down them. So it's a whole lot of information with nothing else. In that regard, she reminds me a lot of Doctor back when he very, very first released. Yeah, back then, his shock therapy attack literally did nothing but raise madness. It did not stop you from dropping pallets. It did nothing. That's why Doctor was considered the worst killer in the game back then, along with Wraith. Anyways, Doctor got his buff, and I'm hoping the same happens for Skull Merchant, because I do think she's got an okay design. A lot of people also hate on her lore. I actually kind of like it. It's cringy in a fun B-movie way. I really think that the other thing that people are going to hate about this killer is that she is an area control killer. Much like Knight, much like Trapper, much like Hag. Yeah, you're going to be seeing this killer just sit in the middle of a 3-gen. Bonus points if they decide to go with a totem and get their totem inside their 3-gen. But there have been videos about how good this killer is at defending 3-gens, and it's just obnoxious. So I'm hoping that maybe something about that gets tweaked, but I don't know at the same time. What I really want for Skull Merchant is just some form of lethality and chase. One thing I noticed is that she has a lot of really good add-ons, and I think that those add-ons have some really good ideas that could be implemented into her base kit, potentially in varying degrees. One very big thing I noticed is that she has a purple and an eerie that both add haste. So why not just add haste to her base kit? Just make it so that while she's in the area of an active drone, she gets a 5% haste, and just for the extra lethality, let's say maybe a 40% extended lunge, like a mini coup de grace. And then have that linger for 10 seconds outside of the AoE. Bada bing, bada boom, she's got some lethality. Survivors that are injured actually have to care about drones, and just everything is wonderful. Maybe, I don't know. Again, this is all spitballing, but I genuinely think that buffing the Skull Merchant when in the area of an active drone is probably going to be the best way to buff her, because it's going to encourage her to drop drones at loops instead of on gens, which will be a nice way to help discourage the 3-genning. Like, yeah, you can have 3 and then just constantly recycle the 1, but that's still... you're not controlling 4 gens at least. And then there are a couple of other things that definitely need adjusting. Claw traps right now, they give the information, but that's it, and they only do it for a few seconds. They really need to be more impactful. Yes, you should be encouraged to turn off the drones, but as it stands right now, it feels like there's no penalty to it either. It shouldn't be as free as it is. Maybe you can make them have Oblivious or something? I'm not entirely sure. Or even just that one add-on that makes it to where when you vault a pallet with it, if it's empty, the pallet just breaks. That would give the Skull Merchant a chance and a reason to really focus that survivor. Or at least chase them, not focus. You know, I don't want to say focus because I've already talked so much about tunneling this video, because 3 tunneling perks. Behavior. And the other thing I kind of think needs some adjusting is the fact that you slow down while checking radar. Why? Why would you need to slow down while checking radar? That just makes it so clunky and unnecessary. Additionally, there shouldn't be a cooldown on placing drones. I understand why there's a cooldown on activating them, But for just placing them, there should be no cooldown on that. There's already a spacing limitation. Just let me place drones freely, please, and let me be able to place a drone and then immediately turn around and activate another one. It's so annoying trying to micro the drones right now. And then there's the Skull Merchant's perks, which are... they've got good ideas, they're just poorly executed. The best of the bunch is Thwack, which is also just a fantastic perk name. When you hook somebody for the next 75 seconds, next time you kick something, you get Nowhere to Hide with a Scream. So this can be used for mind gaming if you happen to break a pallet and the survivor's in the tile. And more notably, if you're a pinhead or pig enjoyer, you can use it to interrupt those pesky side objectives. Bonus points if you pair it with hexes. Yep, that's gonna be fun. That one's a good idea and is executed well. Next up we have Leverage. God, Leverage is annoying because it has two big limiting factors. And that's fine. There should be limiting factors on perks. But just this one has two that make it very bad. So the first thing is that it has to build up in power. So you hook a survivor and it's 5%, you hook another one, it's 10%, etc., all the way up to 50% at 10 stacks. But it's only active for 30 seconds after you hook someone. Why? Like, if it's going to be set on a timer, then it should be 50% from the get-go. If it's going to have to build up, then it shouldn't have a timer in the first place. Additionally, I've also heard people mention that the timer should start after the unhook happens rather than when the hook happens. Which, yeah, I can 100% agree that that'd be a good change. But I don't know, this perk just feels like it's all over the place. It wants to be Dying Light for healing, but it doesn't want to commit. And then finally, we have the one that just really makes me mad. Game Afoot. So this is it. This is the perk that counters pre-dropping pallets, but it only works against the Obsession. So that's 3 perks now that are just, hey, just tunnel Forehead? Because there's no real reason not to tunnel the Obsession when you have this perk. Yes, you can change the Obsession if someone else has been breaking your ankles all game, but why? You could just, first person you chase, you hit them, boom, they're your Obsession. Now they cannot really pre-throw against you. I mean, they can, but you have a slight counter to it. So, yeah, why is this an Obsession perk? I don't understand, because it's so much better as a anti-pre-drop perk than it is as an Obsession perk. I don't know. This chapter is a confusing mess, if you couldn't tell. I don't know. This killer was a bit of a disappointment. I'm very hopeful to see what kind of buffs she gets between PTB and live, as well as what kind of buffs she might get in the following mid-chapter patch, if any, you know. That said, if she gets nothing from PTB to live, don't expect me to be doing videos about her until she does get some buffs, because she is miserably weak right now. Anyways, those have been my thoughts on the new chapter. Tell me what you think of the new chapter down below. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Oh, and obviously Eruption got overgutted. Oh well. Hopefully they nuke Dead Hard next. Until next time, this has been Proselyte Primus.